Hey there. I was born in the States. I'm now a Canadian citizen, dual Canadian US citizen. I'm trans. Trying to help you out, but actually, sort of anyone might find something like this helpful. I didn't know. So, obviously, if you're really young and you really don't own anything, life can be somewhat easier. What I wanted to do, let's see. Boom, let's make this. Okay. One of the things you're either Canadian citizen who's coming home after living in the United States for quite a while, or you're an American immigrating to Canada for the first time. You own a vehicle and you want to take it with you. You can be done. So this came with Google search, um, and it's pretty straightforward. It talks about the Registry of Imported Vehicles. So a couple things. One of them is um, person who actually owns the car, who's on the title, is going to need to be with the car. So if it's like your mom's, it should be titled in your name, unless mom's coming with you. I also imagine um, that if you still have a U.S. bank loan against it, that may be a problem. Because I imagine that U.S. bank will not be happy to find out your car is crossing their national border because if you stop paying, it's a lot harder for them to get it to try and recoup the unpaid balance of your loan. So definitely that's going to require some extra research. I've been lucky enough, I had nearly paid off. And so just took made a couple payments early to be able to do it. Um, Process wasn't that bad. There was a recommendation in here, and I did find it helpful. I work with a US broker. Do There wasn't a ton of stuff they had to do for me, but it was more I had the right paperwork in hand to give on the US side, to check my vehicle out of the US, and on the Canadian side, we got checked in, basically. After I arrived, I had to do an inspection for this registry for imported vehicles, and I also needed to do a provincial inspection. It'll tell you about where you can get this stuff done. I would say, interestingly enough, the provincial inspection, um, a shop in a rural area actually was much easier than Canadian Tire. Canadian Tire in Surrey, uh, they were like, oh, you got to do this, that, and the other. And the other goes, no, you don't. The other thing, although I did change my instrument cluster, so kilometers are on the outside of it's a mechanical dial on the outside of the dial, and then miles are on the inside, which is the opposite of you see on American speedometers. I didn't have to. Although with my cluster, I have the ability to my digital display have a number, and that one did being digital, I can switch between miles and kilometers. So if I one side of the border versus the other, I'll switch between. Um, okay, it wasn't bad, but again, having all the paperwork, if you have a bank loan, and even when you pay it off, they don't necessarily turn the title over that day. What they do is they're sending a release form to the motor vehicle department. So the car's titled, it's typically titled in the state who made the original purchase. So if you bought it in, say, Florida, and you're now living in Idaho, the bank often will be sending that notice to the Florida DMV, who then are going to mail you the title, mail. Okay. And a lot of times those kind of entities, it's getting shipped regular, like US mail, not express mail. No. So, it's not the kind of thing you typically turn around in a day. If you've lost your title, then you have to apply for a replacement title, a duplicate title from the DMV where it's originally registered, where its title is originally registered. Okay. Um, it wasn't bad. Now, obviously, if you have something more vintage, I'll also say that in terms of a lot of the fees and taxes, there's a little bit of a difference. If I was importing a car across the border because I just wanted it, uh, say there's this vintage Jag I've always had my eyes on, and I see it for sale and I want to bring it across. The duties are one thing. When you're bringing it into the country as part of your move, typically you don't pay the same in terms of fees and duties. You'll pay a bit less. There may be exceptions. You're bringing in your Spiker or your Zonda, Pagani, Zonda, whatever. Maybe those there are like no idea. But if, of course, if you can actually afford a Pagani Zonda, I imagine fees and trouble are not something you think about all that much. That used to be you. So let me stop this. Um, there's another topic I'll bring up, but I'll do it in another video. I want to talk about licensing, and we're going to come back to that in another video. So hopefully this has been helpful. I don't think I've spent that much time looking for my broker. I didn't have anything too challenging, so maybe that was helpful. And really, it was more about the documents right at the border. I still had to go and do the Registry of Imported Vehicles, but that wasn't particularly hard. And the permission inspection wasn't all that hard either. The other stuff is more funny and more interesting. We're going to come back to that in a different video.